Meanwhile, some of these politicians are beyond belief. The left are not civil libertarians. The left believe in big, centralized, all-powerful government. The left believes in coercion and torment. The left believes in high taxes and regulations. The left believes in an endless line of bureaucrats and regulations. This is the left. What you are seeing, what is happening to our country, is a rejection of individual liberty. It is a rejection of constitutional norms. It is a rejection of the civil society. I am at times at great pain when I hear some conservative/libertarians on television and radio. Some say, focus only on the fiscal issues. Only on the fiscal issues. Forget all the rest. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is all the rest. This is all the rest, because the bottom line is the civil society is under attack. Well, Mark, what is this civil society? I've talked about this and I've written about it in Liberty and Tyranny. But it is worth remembering, because you are listening to false prophets. People who are saying, no. Social issues don't matter. This issue doesn't matter. That issue doesn't matter. Just the fiscal issues. Well, of course the fiscal issues matter. But what's going on in terms of this wide net thrown over all of us on our telephone numbers, that has nothing to do with fiscal issues, does it? Conservatism is the embrace of our founding principles. And our founding principles, as set forth in the Declaration and codified in the Constitution, that is the antidote to tyranny, pure and simple, which is why Republicans never damn talk about it. The next time you hear somebody say, I'm a conservative or I'm a libertarian, don't focus on the social issues, don't focus on this issue or that issue, only focus on the fiscal issues. You tell them, well, then you're not a conservative and you're not a libertarian. You're a coward, because you refuse to push back. You refuse to take on the left. You refuse to take on people who've been indoctrinated, whether they're young people or others. You refuse to take the time to take our country back. And you're looking for a shortcut. There are no shortcuts. The founders believed in the dignity of the individual. That we as human beings have a right to live freely, and pursue that which motivates us, not because man or some government says so, but because these are God-given natural rights. It's more than fiscal policy. It's fiscal policy and more. Like the founders, we conservatives also recognize in society a harmony of interests, as Adam Smith put it, and rules of cooperation that have developed through generations of human experience and collective reasoning that promote the betterment of the individual and society. And big government destroys it. This is characterized as ordered liberty, the social contract, or the civil society. What is this civil society that Marx keeps talking about? What is this civil society? Well, in the civil society, the individual is recognized and accepted as more than an abstract statistic or faceless member of some group. He's a unique spiritual being with a soul and a conscience. He's free to discover his own potential and pursue his own legitimate interests, tempered by a moral order that has its foundation in faith and guides his life and all human life through the prudent exercise of judgment. As such, the individual in the civil society strives, albeit imperfectly, to be virtuous, that is, restrained, ethical, and honorable. He rejects the relativism that blurs the lines between good and bad, right and wrong, just and unjust, and means and ends. This is more than fiscal policy. This is who we are. In the civil society, the individual has a duty to respect the unalienable rights of others and the values, customs, and traditions, tried and tested over time, and passed from one generation to the next that establish society's cultural identity. Yes, there's an American culture, a cultural identity that must be nurtured, promoted, and defended. The individual is responsible for attending to his own well-being and that of his family. And he has a duty as a citizen to contribute voluntarily to the welfare of his community through good works. In the civil society, private property and liberty are inseparable. The individual's right to live freely and safely and pursue happiness includes the right to acquire and possess property. Property represents the fruits of the individual's intellectual and physical labor. And since our time on earth is finite, so too is our labor. The illegitimate denial or diminution of our property enslaves us to another and denies us our liberty. In the civil society, a rule of law, which is just, known, and predictable, and applied equally, albeit imperfectly, provides the governing framework for and restraints on the polity, thereby nurturing the civil society and serving as a check against the arbitrary use and abuse of power. For the conservative, the civil society has as its highest purpose its preservation and its improvement. But the modern liberal believes in the supremacy of the state. He rejects the principles of the Declaration and the order of the civil society in whole or part. For the modern liberal, the individual's imperfection and personal pursuits impede the objective of a utopian state. And in this, the modern liberal promotes what French historian Alexis de Tocqueville described as a soft tyranny, which becomes increasingly more oppressive, potentially leading to a hard tyranny or some form of totalitarianism. And as the word liberal is in its classical meaning the opposite of authoritarianism, it is more accurate, therefore, to characterize the modern liberal as a statist. Pages 3 and 4, Liberty and Tyranny. The next time you hear some conservative or liberal tell you that the social issues don't matter, that values don't matter, that moral issues don't matter, just focus on the fiscal issues, well, that's not a conservative or a libertarian. That's a very confused person looking for shortcuts. You see, if you're a moral person, then you wouldn't allow the kind of yearly deficits and debt going on that goes on today. If you're a moral person, you wouldn't support steps by the government to destroy the family structure, the nuclear family. If you're a moral person, you stand up to big government. You stand up to violations of personal and civil liberties. We don't divide conservatism into nice little pieces and categories. Hey, just put aside those issues and focus on this. When people say that, that tells me they are incapable of articulating our principles.